Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Circle of Love and Light. I'm your host, Dr. Jane Mountrose, and I'm here with my wonderful friend and co-host, Gretchen Comer. We missed you last week, and we're happy to be here, happy to be back. Gretchen and I, we're both spiritual coaches, healers, guides, more miscellaneous things, and we love to reach out into the realms of spirit to enrich our lives and to open more to love and light for ourselves and for everyone and everything. So I'm very excited about this week. We're going to be talking about the blessings of fall in the month of September. It's interesting. It's such a change that we go through from summer that's so active and energizing into fall that becomes more just very introspective and and reflective. It's just nature's journey through the seasons, which offer opportunities actually for all of us. So fall is a glorious time of harvest. And of course, we have Thanksgiving. And it's also a time when we can begin to set intentions for, well, we have to set theoretically at least intentions for wintering and also intentions for what we want to create in the spring. So there's a lot to unfold here. We're going to just see where it takes us as we usually do. And I enjoy so much. Maybe I think we are going to do it. We're going to do an oracle reading, and we'll also have a meditation. And I don't know where that's going either, but we're going to find out. So as always, I want to thank you for joining us and being a source of love and light for the world. It's one of the, I think, most important things any of us can do. So also, I want to encourage people, if you're new here, that reminds me, I need to bring up the chat so I can see who is here. And I see Babs. Hi, Babs. It's wonderful to see you. And Nikki. Hi, Nikki. Thank you for joining us. Anyhow, excuse me, the final thing that I like to do before we start on our topic is just to take a moment to settle in together. So if you can close your eyes and feel comfortable doing so, if you're safe, not driving, just close your eyes for a moment and just allow yourself to breathe in the most amazing love and light for you in this moment. Love and light from the universe, from the angels, from the masters, from the divine. All of the support that we have around us. Nice, beautiful, nurturing breaths. And you might, as you do that, just feel yourself becoming more present in your body in this moment together. It feels good. So with that, I want to turn to you, Gretchen, and ask you if you'd like to start us out with some of your insights about the change of seasons and how nature is nurturing us at this time of year, et cetera. So.
Sure. Thank you, Jane. Yes. So it's interesting. As I was preparing for this Circle of Love and Light, I just wanted to look up a little bit of the history of autumn and see if I could find any insight there. And what I discovered was that in the 12th and 13th centuries, autumn was actually called harvest, or Haerfest. And it wasn't changed until that time. Right. It was actually called harvest. And the reason they did that is because it was, harvest. The season was in the northern hemisphere here. We notably notice it starting with the autumn equinox, and it was also close to the harvest moon, which happens every year. And so they called it actually harvest as instead of autumn or fall, which I thought was interesting. So much of our ancestors' wisdom and knowledge came through the land, and it came through following the seasons, like we've talked about here in the Circle of Love and Light, following those natural rhythms. And so to the ancient people, and even to our more recent ancestors, harvest was a huge thing, because it really meant this is the food we're going to have to sustain us through the winter. This is what's going to keep us alive. So harvest was a time of celebration too, so it was a time of where the work lessened a little bit, because you're now harvesting, you're not toiling in the fields in the hot summer sun. And for a lot of people, it's interesting, they've done polls across the US about what are people's favorite season, and invariably it's autumn, which I think is interesting. Most people love it because it brings with it a sense of comfort, because the weather, gets a little cooler for those of us who have those extreme temperatures. And that in itself is a blessing. We have cooler nights, cooler days, those bright, beautiful blue skies that we experience here in the Northern Hemisphere. And of course, the changing of the leaves all just brings about a sense of kind of childlike wonderment. It's something you want to go outdoors and experience. So for me, those are all blessings. Those are all blessings that I openly receive when autumn comes. Autumn is ultimately my favorite season. And I do too love the change in the weather. But what's interesting is it really is a time of, after you harvest, or as part of the harvest, it is about going within. Like you said, it's about having that time for reflection. And I think a lot of people, may want to look at maybe what they didn't accomplish over the last cycle of days or over the last couple of seasons. But really, it's about focusing on our blessings, focusing on what we did accomplish. Even the smallest thing over the last 6 months should be recognized and acknowledged. And so that's also part of the blessings. We want to gather with people. We want to be closer together. The holidays, like you mentioned, Thanksgiving, is just in a couple of months. And so for me, harvest time or autumn is really a time of giving thanks. It's about really expressing gratitude for what we do have, for what we have accomplished, or what we have received over the last 6 months that we've planted back in the spring. So it really is, you can see it coming full circle when you get to autumn. You really can see the culmination of all the days that you've spent working towards something, or enabling something to happen in your life. It's just a great time to go within and recognize that. And like I said, no task or no thing that's accomplished is too small. We should be proud and acknowledge all of those things that has gotten us to this point. So for me, it's on some level, it's about counting your blessings. It is about acknowledging that and honoring the things that are in our lives that are helping us live a good life and helping us thrive.
Right. Yeah.
So,
It's an amazing time. And it is interesting. I think it's also worth noting that we go through physical changes too. The days are getting shorter, the temperatures are changing. Philip and I, we've been kind of reflecting on how much better we're sleeping with the cooler temperatures, and I think it's part of the season too. You're kind of going more into hibernation mode. By the way, I see Rosalind Good Vibes here. Welcome, Rosalind. We love good vibes here. We thrive on them. So thank you. Anyhow, another thing that I noticed, being a spiritual healer and trainer and all of those things, is in some ways for people, summer is a distraction. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's a distraction maybe from a spiritual focus. That people tend to be less likely to have to do trainings and really get engaged in education and in their own self-awareness during the summer months. And then coming back, of course, September is also the month when we go back to school for most of the primary schools here. And so we've also noticed for the things that we do, that more and more people are approaching us wanting to receive more of their spiritual growth. So it's beautiful in that way. It is a transitional time for sure, the month of September. It changes, things change a lot from August. I remember I live in California on the coast now, so the winter and summer are not that different. But I spent many years on the East Coast also. And I can remember at the end of August, it would be really, really hot still. And then by the end of September, it would be much, much different with the days becoming shorter and the season changing. So it is a beautiful time to be in the as I think all the times of the year are beautiful times to be in the flow with what's happening in our natural environment, and which is also happening within us. I think it's also interesting just in terms of temperatures, when you're in a higher temperature, your blood actually thins
Mhm.
to accommodate however it does that, to accommodate the temperature change. And then as we go into fall and things get cooler, it becomes thicker again. So I haven't actually studied all the changes that occur in the body with the change of seasons, but that's fascinating to recognize. It's not just outside of us.
Mhm.
It's like everything is within, without, all around us.
Right. That's beautiful too, because I feel like we need that transition physically. We couldn't go from one extreme temperature summer right into, say, winter. We need those transitional
Right.
periods so
Mhm.
that we can adjust, and our bodies can adjust. So that's really interesting that you say that. I agree. I feel like it's a time. Well, it's interesting. You and I were talking about momentums the other day, and I feel like the seasons help us kind of break up momentums, by being part of that cyclic change. If we are going with the flow of every season, then we are essentially embracing change as the seasons flow on, because every
Right.
season brings change, whether it's transitional or not. So it's just interesting just to be in that flow, to be, following along with the natural rhythms. It
Right.
really helps us break those momentums, because we're actually following the natural changes that are taking place. And instead of resisting, I mean, we're not going
Right.
to hold back autumn from coming, so we can't say, oh, no, autumn can't come because that means winter, And I actually have friends that feel that way, that feel that, autumn, that means winter's right around the corner. But instead, embrace it, embrace the wonderful changes that we're experiencing, not only in ourselves but in the weather, and how people, this is a time where, you're right, there's less distraction on some level. It's almost like a veil has been lifted from the the beauty of summer is very seductive on some level, for people. And to
Right.
see autumn and its different colors, and it draws you outside. You want to be outside in the hot summer. You may not want to be outside as much, right?
Right.
So yeah, so I think it's interesting. And traditionally, autumn is also the season of our, excuse me, is the element of earth. It's about about that, bringing in that grounding energy as we go into winter.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I wanted to also, I mentioned to Gretchen earlier, I often, as probably everybody knows, I often do oracle readings or tarot readings in the morning. And today I was looking for something just simple because we have the circle, and I had to prepare. And so I drew this card from the Green Witch Oracle, which is, it's really wonderful. It's plant based, and then it has just simple keywords. So this is what I got. The card I got is called Hope. And I thought it was so interesting because the flower is a daffodil. And in the description, it mentions how the fall is the time when you have to plant the daffodil bulbs if you want to have flowers in the spring. So it's not all just preparation for winter, what you're bringing in. It also is, in some ways, and I'm sure Gretchen probably knows much more about gardening than I do too, preparing the soil or preparing, planting things that will come up in the spring. It starts now.
Right, it's true. Yeah, from a gardening perspective, absolutely. My husband is a grounds manager, and he calls it putting the beds to sleep, putting the garden beds to sleep.
Right.
So that's what he does in the autumn, is he prepares the soil, and basically what that's doing is it's creating a protective layer over the seeds that have yet to germinate. So there's something very symbolic about that too,
Right. Well, and if you don't do that, then you might not receive what you want in the spring, what you're expecting and hoping for.
Right.
I was
I
telling
live,
Gretchen I didn't quite understand hope. We have to
That's
be
right.
hoping now.
Right.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
So Gretchen was going to draw a card actually for all of us for today for our celebration of the change of the seasons. So why don't you go ahead?
So today I'm using the Sacred Destiny Oracle. And I chose potential. I don't know if you can see the card.
Wow,
Potential.
that's a beautiful one.
So the imagery is of a very tall mountain. Looks like it's next to a lake, and there's all kinds of beautiful starry skies above it. But just the word potential is exciting too.
Yeah, I love that word.
to see autumn as potential, like planting
Mhm.
the seeds now for later. So
Mhm.
that is really beautiful. So
Yeah. Yeah, when you think of summer, you're not thinking ahead that much. You're thinking this is great right now.
Right, exactly.
You're you're
Great
busy with
distraction.
right with whatever you're doing, whether it's something plant oriented towards nature or otherwise. It's very much more in the now, and now we're in a different phase or entering a different phase.
Right. So this card is Volcano at Rest, and it says that volcanoes erupt in places where the Earth's plates meet and where there are cracks through which lava emerges, either explosively or by flowing more slowly down a cinder cone. Even when a volcano is at rest, there is always the possibility of a huge eruption. There is the potential of great power. There are very few things on this planet more commanding than the erupting volcano. The archetypal personality of a volcano is one of a wild, unpredictable, and formidable energy. So it's like what is yet to be formed, that formless energy of potential. So it says this card appears when you are ready to activate your potential and step into your strength. This is the time to activate those gifts that you've had on the back burner in your life. You have incredible untapped potential. This is the time to allow it to flow. Ooh, there's that flow word again. I love that. An inner wellspring of power is emerging. Ooh, you have, I like that. An inner wellspring of power is emerging. You have a profound spiritual power that is deep within you. Do not doubt your great authority and capabilities. A dormant volcano might indicate that you have uncomfortable emotions that you are repressing or keeping inside, thus creating emotional stress and inner pressure. But it can also mean that you are on the verge of a great expansion of energy and life force. And I think that's a beautiful card for autumn because it really is a time of transition and potential. It really, truly is. Potential for what comes after winter, potential for the new spring.
Really
Absolutely.
potential
And
for now.
planting your daffodils now.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And the potential now for appreciating the blessings that we have for gratitude.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
community, family coming much more together. And winter too, collecting your acorns for the winter.
Right.
Whatever
Right.
it is.
And I think volcano at rest is a good symbol for autumn as well, because it really is about going within. It's about that energy that's stored within, that great potential energy, that life force energy that's just waiting there to be tapped and, as potential. So that's a great card.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that one. It's beautiful. And it is, I guess if you really look at the seasons, they are all magical in their own way. But when I think of going into fall and then towards winter, I think much more about magic because it is so much more within, looking within. And Nikki shared an image. I don't know what that is exactly. Something with rain. A little being with rain, I guess. Oh, it's winter. Little being in the winter. That's wonderful. So I'm thinking maybe of inviting a master or an angel to be with us also for our meditation. Do you have a preference? It's hard to.
No, I think they're all wonderful. I think they're all wonderful.
Kind of feeling like angel wisdom. I'm going to do this.
Okay.
Actually,
The only
now
one that
I'm
came to
thinking.
mind was Uriel, just because he's the angel of earth. But
There's this other one that I use sometimes. And this one is interesting. This is Diana Cooper's Archangel card deck. And it has a lot of archangels that I've never heard of. So it's kind of fun. I've got a couple of the cards off here. I'm going to put them back in so they can be counted. Shuffle, and we'll just ask for something that would be of value for us today. I'm getting now. I somehow also appreciate smaller decks of cards because they're so much easier to shuffle. These are big, although the big ones are beautiful, and I really love to display the portraits. So I can. The portraits of the angels and masters to me are a wonderful way to feel like you're really connecting with them. Maybe for me, it's because I'm very visual. Here we go. Let's see. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Archangel Muriel, which is not an archangel I'm familiar with. That's another thing I like with this deck. It presents some new possibilities. So this is Archangel Muriel. Trust your own wisdom. Have faith in your psychic impressions. It's interesting. There's a Mariel and a Muriel. I was looking to make sure I actually had that right. 68. The powerful pink and white Archangel Muriel is the angel of love, compassion, and harmony. That's beautiful. It's a he. His great empathy means he responds readily to the prayers of humanity, especially those of people who are grieving or in emotional turmoil. He inspires, this is weird. He inspires them with hope. I was telling Gretchen before we started, I didn't mention it, but I had drawn from another deck before I drew this hope card, and I didn't understand why I was getting hope. So then I got this one, and here it is again. Must have something to do with the season. Archangel, hope and happiness. Archangel Muriel heals by filling you with loving insights and wisdom. He enables you to see with new eyes and inspires you to show kindness and love to others. When you're at a crossroads, he gives you the courage to find a new pathway and helps to choose with wisdom. He does this by lighting up your enthusiasm for the right direction. Does that stimulate anything for you? I'm still
well,
reflecting on hope being there again, and I guess it must have something to do with the season.
Right. You said something about trusting your own power, and that kind of correlates to the card that I pulled about potential, because it's about that untapped power. It's about believing that you have that inner power, that you have these gifts to share with the world. So
right,
they do go along with that. Yeah. And autumn is a great time to reflect on what gifts you may have.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think to be grateful for what you have inwardly as well as outwardly.
Absolutely.
Because I think that for so many of us, the things that are our greatest gifts for the world are things that we undervalue because they're so natural to us. We figure this is so easy, it's probably not that meaningful. when actually it may be the most meaningful thing possible for us, to understand about ourselves and to pursue, to actually bring out into the world. It reminds me of a fellow I knew years ago when I was an architect, and he was very much into technology, just as a hobby. He just loved it, loved it, loved it. This was some years ago, just when the internet was emerging, and people were starting to hire people who had knowledge about computers. There were not enough around, so they became very valuable. And when that happened, he got a job with a huge income. Like all of a sudden, he was like this wealthy person because of everything that he knew that came to him so naturally, and it completely surprised him. It's kind of like, oh, I thought it was a hobby. And I think whatever it is, it might be a quality that you have, or it might be a skill. It may be many things, but just to think of those things that are so natural for you, that are easy to give, to offer from yourself, that are of great value to the world, that you may underestimate because of the simplicity of them. So, excuse me. Would you like to do the meditation now?
Sure, absolutely.
So we can go up to a lofty mountaintop, which we often do, and meet with Archangel Muriel. And I like that idea of opening the gifts that we have received in our lives, the blessings that we have within ourselves that we can open and be grateful for. So we can just start with that. Again, closing your eyes and starting to breathe in the most amazing possible love and light from the universe, the perfect light for you. With every breath, beautiful, loving, light energy. And as you exhale, just allowing yourself to release any tension or stress you might feel. Release any low energy that may be ready to go elsewhere. Just allow it to drift down into the earth to be neutralized and transformed back into light. Asking any energy that is not your own to leave your space. Send it back where it came from, other people, other times, other places. And what we're doing is creating more space for our own energy. And with that, we can be bringing back our own energy that we've left with other people, other times, other places. Maybe also even energy that we haven't ever embraced before, as we create more space for it. So you might feel that energy coming in. And recognizing that when we receive energy, we receive it throughout our energy field, through the bodies in our energy field, and all the way into deep within our body, down to the level of the cells and even the atoms. Because ultimately, the energy that we experience as light is the energy that flows in the space between the electrons in our body. And as we brighten up, as we release any of the, you could say, mucky or heavy energy in those spaces, there's more room for our own light to come in. And I feel that this inspiration to recognize that too comes from Muriel. I feel Muriel's presence, so we can invite him to join us. And just trust in the beauty within ourselves. Again, breathing in more of that love. We can breathe in lighter energy now, so we can rise up to a lofty mountaintop, a very spiritual, wonderful, mystical, magical place, high up in the atmosphere, maybe even above the mass consciousness thought forms. just so high up that we're free. We can feel free to be who we are. So rising up, and when you arrive on the mountaintop, you have a panoramic view of the world. So just allow yourself to gaze around, even if you don't feel you see it, just sense what that's like. Being way up high and looking out for miles and miles around you. The glory of the world. And of course, for those of us in the northern hemisphere, we're moving into fall. So as you look around, you may be starting to see the yellows and golds and reds of fall. And sense all of the other beings of light who are supporting us here. Feeling the breeze, beautiful breeze. That kind of breeze that you get when you're high up in the mountains. And that air, there's that sound in the air that's different and clear and pure. It says further down here under the description of Archangel Muriel that a new door to happiness can emerge as we open more fully to our own wisdom, to our own, I would say, our own blessings, our own gifts. So this would be a moment then to open to appreciating the gift that you are to the world, for one thing, the gifts of spirit that you bring, and also the blessings that you have received this year. To see the beauty and the wonder in that. Looking down over the world, also, we know so many people are being encouraged by forces outside of themselves to see things in a very repressive way, to perceive themselves as victims, to perceive everything as unfair. And yet when we are above all of that, we realize that it really is not significant to us if we don't allow it to be. If we open to who we really are as creators, that idea of victimization feels completely irrelevant. So what is the essence of your creative spirit? I think if you boil it down for all of us, it is love. But it is love in many, many, many forms. We all are our own version of love. Unique to us. I sense Muriel again sending more light to us. We can open to receiving that light. And feel that buoyancy of it. We have the option in any moment to choose love and to choose light. We have the option to imagine ourselves on this majestic mountaintop where we can look out at the world as Gretchen suggested in the reading, to open to the potential in ourselves and in the world itself. Just feel that. It's interesting. We become what we think about, we become what we focus on. And when we focus on pure potential and full potential, it's a wonderful experience. It's a choice. So what potential within you has been realized this year that you can be grateful for? Seems like life is changing at such a rapid pace. All of us are growing. We're evolving. We're opening to more of our magnificence, our full potential. Gretchen, anything you'd like to share that comes to mind, or what you're experiencing?
Yeah, it was interesting. You had mentioned a door and, a new door essentially of potential. And I immediately visualized that, and the door changed from like a solid wooden door into a wrought iron gate. So I could actually see through the doorway. And as I looked, um, we were up on top of the mountain. I always go to kind of the same sacred place that is one of my resource places. And it's a large temple essentially, and I
Mm,
was in this new part of the temple I'd never been in before, and I'm looking down the hall and I'm realizing that the doors aren't essentially open on either side of the hallway, but they're all wrought iron gates, meaning that I can see through. And it really is about connecting, like, this is all accessible, this is all possible, this is where
mm-hmm,
potential is. It's always accessible to us, so it's not restricted to a season or to a time of year or to whether we're good or bad people. It doesn't, potential's always available, it's always accessible. So that's really the message that I'm sensing right now.
mm-hmm. Right. And that makes so much sense because it is true. It's a choice.
Mm,
When you look at what's happening in society, there are those of us who are choosing the kind of path that we're on here together. Love, light, potential, gratitude,
mm,
all of the things that make life more magical and beautiful and add to the light in the world. And then there are those who are making other choices. And that is their choice. I think the important thing for us to realize is that ultimately they have no influence on us and the choices we make. Those who want to hold us down or limit us or make us feel bad about who we are and what we're doing. It's all our own choice of how we see our potential, where we seek potential. It's interesting. Occasionally, and I don't know if you've experienced this, Gretchen. You can let me know. Occasionally, I become aware in meditation of the music of the spheres, and I feel like the music of the spheres is playing for us.
mhm.
Just so beautiful. And maybe you can't hear sounds per se, but you can feel the vibration of them.
Mm.
And maybe you can hear them. All of us also is, we have our own tone in the music of the spheres, which may be relevant here too, to realize that we're part of this um, cosmic orchestra, you could say. And we can be in harmony with it if we choose. Feels beautiful.
It really does. I was thinking, you said potential, you know, it's in the music, it's the harmony. I think that's interesting because it's, you know, one of our sounds or one of our voices is beautiful on its own, but when it's all together in this harmonious way, it really kind of enlivens potential. It expands potential even more. That's what I'm feeling right now. Just expanding
Right.
potential.
It does. Because we don't exist in isolation, much as we
Right.
believe we do. And
Right.
like I
Right.
said,
We're not
it's
meant
not
to.
that we're influenced by those who are at lower vibrations, but that doesn't mean that we are independent of really of the whole. We are part of the whole. We just choose which part we want to align with. I feel Muriel is delighted to have this opportunity to meet us and suggests that he welcomes any of us to connect again with him. You probably can find information about him related, even you might find the Oracle message and more on the internet. Many of Diana Cooper's messages from her Oracle cards are there. So with that, I think we're ready to return, knowing that we can return to this place again anytime, just through our intention and by recalling the state and just asking to have that experience again, to be here again with whatever part of it is most meaningful to you. So now we can thank all of the beings of light who are around us. And I sense many, many angels and other beings. I'm so grateful. This is another thing for me, being around, inviting the angels to be with us, and especially the archangels, that their love is so profound. And when we can let that in, it's an experience like nothing else that I've ever had. So we can thank them for being here with us, and we can begin to flow down, back beautifully down to earth and back where we started, wherever you are sitting or resting, with your feet grounded to the earth. Sending some of that love to Mother Earth. And I always feel I receive more love there from her too. And then breathing in more active energy, coming back into our normal waking states. Might want to stretch a little, whatever feels right to you. And when you're ready, take your time, you can open your eyes. That felt good.
It did. Yeah, I've never called in Muriel before. It was a beautiful golden energy, like a
Right.
sunshine yellow energy. I felt just kind of overlaying the whole scene. It was beautiful. Really
so
beautiful.
loving. Yeah, it was beautiful. Yeah. Something special. Well, they do amaze me. The archangels just amaze me. And they're so available to us if we ask, and we have positive intent, of course. Pure heart and positive intent.
I'm always, I should never be amazed, but it's always so loving, just so incredibly like readily there and loving. I think that's just beautiful. You know, really grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, and I think if we want to evolve spiritually, connecting with angels on a regular basis, I do it more or less on a daily basis almost. It changes you. It just has to change you. And that the depth of that love, it is really so profound. It's almost indescribable. Of course, reflection of the love of God for us, Mother, Father, God. So Babs thanks us, and thanks, I'm sure, Archangel Ariel. Excuse me. And I feel right now, from compared with when we started, I do feel, I'm not sure exactly how to say it. I feel good about my potential, I guess. I feel like I'm in harmony with the world. Like I don't feel like there's any reason to resist anything, that everything is just beautiful.
Right. It feels like a good reminder for me, like, oh yeah, yeah. We have all this potential available to us. That's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful thing. I don't think I sit down and consciously think about what potential do I have today,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a beautiful reminder to all of us, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and autumn being the perfect time. So
Yeah. Yeah. And recognizing that we are uniquely special,
right.
and reminding ourselves that those things that come so naturally that we might even overlook them may be our greatest blessings to the world.
Right.
Nikki says that was profound. Thank you. Yeah, it was for me too. I just feel I have to, I guess, reflect a little bit on what I'm feeling exactly. It might be the music of the spheres too. That's pretty profound. I don't hear that all the time. Do you ever hear that, Gretchen?
I'm not sure I do, but I do hear, I am very auditory when I go into meditation. So I'm really
Mm-hmm.
picking up on, if I'm in nature, I hear nature sounds. If I'm in kind of a celestial place, I generally hear different things. So
Mm-hmm.
I do hear music a lot associated with angels. I feel like that's a good indicator that their presence is near for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was wonderful. I don't know. I don't really have much I can think of adding at this point. It feels complete to me.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Although I would say this is an opportunity that we have when we have gathered in, taken in love and light, that we can share it with the world. So with our intention, we can just ask for all of the world. Well, whatever you want to ask, I'll say all of the world to be blessed with love and light. So anywhere you want to focus, you can focus, of course, on your own self and the sacred space of your home and yard, land, whatever you have around you. And of course, your community and the many places on the globe where more love and light is definitely needed. And of course, if you know people who are ailing, maybe they could use some love and light too. Okay, so with that, Gretchen, would you like to share how people can find out more about what you're up to these days? You can, if you want to share something that's going on, whatever.
Sure. Thank you so much, Jane. Yes, people can find me and connect with me at my website, spiraljourney.net. I have a bunch of different programs going on right now. Everything from learning your spiritual gifts and activating your spiritual gifts.
Speaking
Right.
speaking of potential.
So, and I have a couple people in that program right now that are just having a blast with that. And also, I'm doing a spiritual foundations program. So if you're somebody that's kind of tired of finding and piecing things together from the internet, I'm actually creating tailored programs to help, choosing from like over 40 topics that you can learn with me in what I'm calling lesson sessions. And that's going really well too. I have some people in that as well.
Wonderful.
This is an interesting way to kind of get like a tutor kind of relationship with me, and also coaching people through any issues they may have that come up in learning some of these things. And so people can connect with me there at spiraljourney.net at my website. And you can also find me here on Facebook, Gretchen Comer, or Spiral Journey Holistic Life Services.
Wonderful. Thank
Yeah.
you. And Awakenings Institute, which is a nonprofit organization devoted to creating a more loving world. We have a free resource kit for light workers, spiritual healers, and way showers with different kind of uplifting elements in it. And you can find out more about it. I'm going to give you a tiny URL because our website tends to be kind of unwieldy. It's tinyurl.com/spiritual-kit. And if you want to go to our website directly, that will take you there. It's gettingthrough.org, which is gettingthru.org. And if you go to gettingthrough.org/spiritual, that resource kit is available there too. It's a very large website with different sections on different topics. And so there's a lot there. Anyhow, if you want to support the circle, also you can follow our page on Facebook. It's facebook.com/awakeningscircle. You can share the video with your friends, which is really helpful to get the word out, and invite people to to come to a place where they can lift their spirits. And you can invite friends to join you in the circle, and then maybe have something to talk about from that too. So the final thing that we do also is send that love and light that we've been accumulating out into the week ahead. And I feel like Archangel Muriel is still here contributing to the love and light. We thank him. And have a wonderful week. We look forward to seeing you next time.